Mike Congdon. Yay, Mike Congdon.
No applause.
Okay.
Just throw money.
Just throw money. Yeah, good luck on that one with the boss here. Maybe. Anyway, high school football season is really not that far away from us. August 16th. There's a couple of jamborees that'll be taking place on the 10th and the 11th of August, but the other guys can jump in here at leisure. But Mike, what is your take as we head into this 2018 high school football season?
Be a lot of exciting games that are coming up. Of course, a lot of rivalries as always. Coaches in new places, so it'll be interesting to see how some of the changes take effect there. Ought to be a good season.
Do you see any big surprises coming out of some of the teams here in the area? I mean, we had, I think, around 4 or 5 that actually made it to the state playoffs and everything. Some, going into the championship game itself. Do you see anybody from out of that spectrum of teams, or do you feel like we may see some newcomers that haven't been in that spotlight in a while kind of make their presence known again?
That'll be interesting. Signal Mountain's really coming on under their third year coach. And they'll be a force, I think, in 3-3A. Red Bank, of course, with a new coach, new system, although they do have their offensive coordinator back. So the offense should be running now. Their real challenge is going to be their offensive line. There's going to be a lot of new faces on that offensive line where they had kids that had played together for 4 years the past couple of seasons.
It should be an interesting season, to say the least. Nick LaFew from the Breakfast Blitz joins us here on the show tonight. Nick, it's good to have you. I haven't been around you in almost a month. I mean, lucky you.
Yeah, it's been interesting to be able to do a little bit of my show by myself, I guess, till Keon gets here. But, you've been missed, man.
Yeah, we'll have to get the three amigos together and maybe add Mike into the mix as well. I know we always have a blast with
it's always a fun time.
I'm still trying to find that Whataburger moment somewhere.
We went to Whataburger, though.
Yeah, I know.
We went twice, actually.
In the same day.
Before the game and after the game and after the game.
It was outstanding, and 2 different Whataburgers.
Okay. But how do you see the high school football season, as we're preparing to kick off here in a matter of just mere weeks?
Mike's right with a couple of those with Signal Mountain. It's going to be interesting to see what they're able to do, and obviously Red Bank with a new head coach. But I look at North Georgia. I think you got a new player at Ridgeland and Courtney Braswell, who's going to take over that program. I think going to do a really good job. And obviously Heritage with EK Slaughter and Ringgold. Those 3 could be some powerhouses and could cause some problems for some of the normal blue bloods in Georgia football, and go down and maybe upset some teams come playoff time. So those 3, I think you got to look at really being able to compete in Georgia this year. So I think that'll be fun.
I know I got to slip down to Ridgeland here the other week and catch them in some of their practices, I guess you could say. And even though they weren't using pads, they were hitting pretty good.
Yeah, that's a Courtney Braswell thing.
That is a Courtney Braswell thing.
So Courtney, that defensive guy, he's gonna want him to pop a little bit. So I think with the athletes he has down there at Ridgeland, I think he's going to do a wonderful job.
I mean, he's got some beast.
Yeah, I mean, he's got some guys getting recruited to some D1 schools, and when you're a good coach and you got good players, a lot of good coaches, folks like Philip Fulmer will always tell you it's all about the Jimmies and Joes, not the X's and O's.
Right.
So you got to have the players. And so you can be a great coach. If you don't have anybody to execute it, it really doesn't matter.
But here's my summation about Courtney Braswell when he was here on my show several weeks ago. I think he has got the pressure on him to perform in a big way, because if he doesn't, his mama's going to crack his skull. His mama is and
he's at home now. You know, I mean, he's at home. I know he went to Baylor and everything, but North Georgia's his home,
right?
And he's got a lot of pressure. He's a lot of pressure that he's putting on himself,
right,
to be successful there. He has the full support of that athletic department, the principal, everything at Ridgeland. I I think with the facilities and the everything that he has at his fingertips there, I think he's going to be very successful. So I think it's a dream job for him.
And I totally agree with you. I think that is the dream job for him, because you always want to go back to your home school, or at least area where you're from, to perform. But I think he was right on the cusp. And Mike, you may have seen this a little bit more because of being an assistant over at Red Bank, where Courtney was starting to make transition over at Chattanooga Central.
That program really came along over the past couple of years under Braswell. He's a guy that takes no prisoners and demands excellence from his players. And you could see on the field the countenance of those kids and the way that they responded to him from year to year grew tremendously. It's a big loss for Central, but a huge get for Richland.
And I think the big thing about Courtney, he talked about the excellence that he demands from him. He demands it on and off the field.
Absolutely. Right.
And, that's something you don't always get in a coach.
Right.
And Courtney does, obviously, I have a really good relationship with him, so I might be a little biased, but he's going to do a wonderful job. And he's at a place now where it's going to be a lot easier for him to succeed with the resources he has.
He's just a good guy.
Yeah, good guy and a great football coach.
Now, Courtney, if I'm not mistaken, is maybe just a few years older than you and Keon.
Yeah, he's a pretty young guy.
Right around 30.
I noticed you didn't add me in that. I appreciate that.
Hey,
I'm right there with you, brother.
He is. He's a young guy, so
you got more grays than me, though. But I know you're younger than me.
I don't know if he ever does have aspirations to do college as a coach, but I feel like it's something that, especially at his age, if it is something he wants to do, he could do it.
One of the things that I got from Courtney when he was in here was he feels like he's got a lot of support coming from the Booster Club and the parents. Besides the administration, the parents are really behind Coach Braswell.
Well, that place, that's a destination job for just about anybody in this area.
Right.
Just because of the talent that you're able to pull in. And as a coach, that's a place you want to go. So it wasn't an easy job for him to get. So you would expect them to definitely have the full support, him to have the full support of everyone in that Booster Club, in the athletic department, even all the way up to just administration in the school.
Yeah. Keon, I know you haven't had much to say here yet tonight. I know you're a lot more outspoken.
Well, the thing is, I'm going to be learning a lot of these area schools. And so for me, the big thing is sort of absorbing all of this stuff very quickly. I didn't grow up in this area. I'm still learning it after several years of being here. So I look forward to that and seeing a lot of these rivalry games and seeing a lot of these games play out. So I haven't had a lot to say today because I'm just listening. I'm just trying to learn, but I'll be ready to go when we get ready to kick off, when all these games start going down.
Yeah, we've got a lot of plans for this young man. He is going to be taking over the play-by-play duties for the high school football game of the week. And I'm also glad the Gridiron Gang's all here. Yes.
Our first official on air.
Yeah, but this is actually only a part of the Gridiron Gang, because we still got Stephen Hargis and others from the Chattanooga Times Free Press. We've got hopefully a lot of coaches and maybe some players that will be joining us week in and week out. And I think it's going to be a good time. We're going to be disclosing here in very near future about where we'll be having the Gridiron Gang show out on location. So it'll be good to maybe have a little bit of food and talk about something that we really love in high school sports. And Mike's going to be leading the way with the show. We'll be there to help support and give our 2 cents in there, which we're usually good about giving 10 cents instead of just 2, but
I'll give about $1.
All right.
I'll take it.
As long as we're not talking about Vols football.
Yeah, probably not on that show. You can listen to my show, 8 to 10 Saturday mornings, Breakfast Blitz.
But the other thing that we really want too is fans.
Yes,
having the fans at those shows that will really
come on out.
Yeah,
absolutely.
We're still trying to finalize where that will be.
Yeah,
but we'd love to have you all come out and just support the show and support high school football and support these kids. Right.
And you'll have opportunities to interact with the show, ask questions from the audience, and just have a good old time. And, there are a lot of rabid high school football fans around here. More, I wouldn't say maybe more than the Vols, but Possibly.
I mean, where I grew up in Saudi Daisy football, Friday nights,
Daisy.
everybody is looks forward to Friday night, and that place is always packed. I know Red Bank's the same way. Especially you look at those North Hamilton County schools, Saudi Daisy, Red Bank, Hickson. You're looking at the ones that
Occasional
people love.
Signal Mountain.
Signal Mountain. They're still compared to those schools, they're still an infant. But they're growing.
But Signal Mountain Red Bank has come on as a huge rivalry.
And it's a fun game to watch.
Yeah.
So we did already have to make a schedule change with our first Friday night game, which will be August 17th. We're looking at doing Saudi Daisy and Red Bank, which is huge. When I first got here back in September, and I'm trying to figure my way through because high school football had already gotten started mid-August of last year. And it was like, people were talking about Saudi Daisy and Red Bank. And it's like, doesn't matter what the records are. It doesn't matter what's played on the field. It's what's up on that board. And then maybe you might see a little skirmish or two.
Well, it's always fun because it's always the first game of the year. And those two, they will judge their seasons usually go the way that game goes. If whoever wins that game generally ends up having the better season, obviously,
that could be a determining factor, though, on how the rest of their season goes.
It does. They play each other so hard because they do hate each other.
Right.
And, it's just like when Red Bank plays Hickson or Saudi Daisy plays Hickson, but I think even Saudi Daisy Red Bank's even more.
Well, even when you look at one being a 3A school and one being a 5A school, the level of competition is, you're right. They hate each other. Back in the day, it was Red Bank and Hickson before Red Bank got into playing Saudi again. And I can remember some of the weeks of Red Bank Hickson being pretty brutal. Red Bank Saudi is that brutal times 10. It's ugly.
I remember when I was in high school, going back 10 years and so, you would students would go vandalize each other's schools and it was
dead flowers sent to the cheerleaders, and it was crazy.
I remember my senior year, they some Red Bank kids blocked all of our parking lots with furniture, and so we couldn't get in there into the parking lots, and it was a mess. If you know Saudi Daisy High School, it's already a mess to get into anyway.
Right.
You add blockages on trying to get to the parking lot. It was outstanding.
I knew nothing about that.
But it's usually little.
See anybody from
It's
Red
usually
Bank like that.
it's usually harmless fun pranks for the most part.
For the most part.
Then you have your ones who.
Well, you look too at the fact that Justin Barnes was a quarterback at Red Bank,
right.
Head coach at Saudi Daisy. Several of his staff members played at Red Bank. There is nothing better for them than to beat Red Bank week 1 or week 0, whichever one it is.
And then you go back in time a little bit. You had E.K. Slaughter at Saudi Daisy, who coached at Red Bank before, and then went to Red Bank after he's done at Saudi in Cleveland. And so the bad blood's always there.
Yeah.
Tom Jr. coached there.
Yeah. And obviously, and Tom Weathers coached at both schools as well. So, it's just ridiculous.
I will never forget the first game that Tom Weathers came back as the coach at Saudi, and Tim Daniels was the coach at Red Bank, and them meeting at the 50-yard line before and after the game. It was interesting.
Tense.
To say the least.
Yeah.
Tense is a good word. Yeah.
I can remember in high school, because my home school over in Arkansas is Conway. We were known as the Wampus Cats, and Wampus Cat is a 6-legged cat, okay, which you don't find them anymore. But every time that we would play Morrilton, the Red Devils, not the Red Devils, the Devil Dogs, we always, during the week of that game, would find a bunch of dead cats on our basketball gym floor. Oh, yeah. Yeah. How they got into the gym is beyond administration, the police, and everybody else. But
Hold
they
it together,
always,
Keon.
but they always found a way to put a bunch of dead cats.
It's just the
On our
effort
gym
that
floor.
takes. Like, it's such a large amount of effort just to say I hate you when you could have left the note.
Yeah. Well, why do that? That's too easy.
There's no fun in
There's
that.
no fun in that.
Dead cats are way more fun.
Also, I think Pennsylvania's obsession with animals
No, that
are
was
just
Arkansas.
well, Arkansas's
Yeah.
obsession with animals that are just slightly not what they're supposed to be. We're talking about devil dogs and six-legged
Yeah.
cats. I don't understand Arkansas. I don't understand Arkansas at all.
You got to go
It's
visit
okay.
sometime.
Nobody understands Arkansas.
Oh, hush. Anyway, I've got Keon Rose here. He'll be on with Russell here coming up at 8 o'clock with two millennials talking. Got this big guy right here, Nick LaFew, host of the Breakfast Blitz, Saturday mornings from 8 to 10. And then our good friend over here, Mike Congdon. If you ever are looking for a mortgage,
Oh, thank you very much.
call Mike Congdon.
Shameless plug. Highlands Mortgage.
Yes. What's the phone number?
Oh, gosh. What is my office phone number? 423-417-2467. How's
All right.
that?
Well,
There you
we're
go.
all getting shameless plugs in here today. Love it.
I ain't got no plug to plug.
It's your show. You can't
I
plug
know.
your plug.
I know. But anyway, I mean, make sure you join in with Mike. He'll be hosting the Gridiron Gang Show. We'll have more details on where and the different dates. Could be possibly on a Tuesday. That's in the cards right now. Could be a Thursday. We just got to figure that one out.
Logistics.
And then this guy here, Mr. LaFew, on home games, you'll be up in Knoxville.
Yeah, so I'll be calling into my own show.
Yes. Keon and I will be manning the board, the station, while you're up there partying and talking Vols football.
I mean, does it get any better?
No.
Not really.
No, it
Unless
really
it was
doesn't.
an Arkansas game or a Texas game.
Arkansas.
Yeah.
They still have a football team?
Yes, they do.
Hmm.
They've won more championships than Tennessee.
Okay, that's awesome. But what have you done for me lately? Well, how's Chad Morris doing? He's outstanding.
I don't know.
Can-
I'm still debating on that hire.
Yeah, well, so is everybody else in the conference.
Well, it's going to be fun. I don't know if you guys will be good year one as a result of it.
You know what I
But
think is
you-
going to happen?
You will have a high tempo offense. That's for sure.
Yeah, and no defense. It'll fit real well in the SEC.
Like I said, fun.
Mhm.
Tennessee won, 4 games last year?
Yeah.
I think Arkansas is going to win 3.
This year?
Just what I'm gathering. Yeah.
Brutal.
Yeah. Against my own Hogs. Woo pig suey, but man, they need to get a.
Call them hogs.
Yes, sir.
I just miss Brett Bielema, so I have
Oh, my.
I have ill will toward the hogs.
Brett Bielema is a great coach if he's not your coach.
100%. That's why I loved him so
He's
much. He was so much
he's
fun.
so fun.
It was like Derek
He's
Dooley
a
at Tennessee.
great guy. Yeah.
It was
And
just fun for everybody else except Tennessee.
Well, at least you didn't get Bobby Petrino.
Hey, but he was actually a good coach. He just, well,
Stupid.
Well,
yeah.
the sideshow with that would have been good, though,
Oh,
with Petrino. The
And
sideshow.
motorcycles
Yeah.
and GAs and
yeah.
volleyball players and coaches and
Well.
good
he-
times.
he-
Good times in Arkansas.
Yeah.
Fayetteville.
Well, actually,
There
he
you
did
go.
that in Oklahoma.
Yeah,
He
but he
traveled
was
over
the
from
yeah, but
Arkansas.
he was the coach still in
Yeah,
Arkansas.
they were cruising around over.
My
in
favorite
Oklahoma.
thing was him in that press conference in that neck brace and his face all scratched up.
committed to his lie.
He won the Academy Award.
Academy
for that.
Award.
He
Yeah.
deserved it.
Pushed all of his chips across the table. I'm all in.
Yeah.
I will double down on this falsehood, even though my neck brace is telling literally a different story.
But you know what? I can't figure out why Louisville would end up hiring you.
Desperation.
Yeah.
They're Louisville.
They just don't want to lose out to Kentucky, I guess. But
And
anyway,
it worked. I mean,
Yeah, it but so Mike, you think that we're going to have an exciting high school football season coming up?
Well, I think it's going to be great. I mean, again, I go back to the rivalries that are out there. The Baylor-McCallie rivalry, even though one team or the other may be down on any given year, I mean, they hate each other. Bradley County and Cleveland, so much bad blood there over years and years and years. And, of course, my Red Bank Lions, everybody loves to hate them. So it's a battle every week.
But I think one of the fiercest rivalries in the area that I've seen is South Pittsburgh and Marion County.
Oh, that's historic.
Yeah. And by the way, we're going to be talking to Stephen Hargis here in the next couple of weeks about his book, talking about South Pittsburgh and Marion County and how I forget what the name of the title is, but what I've read of it so far, it's going to be a fun book to read, whether you're from here or not.
Eight Ugly Moms or something.
Yeah. We've got more coming our way here in just a little bit. Stick around. Segment 2 coming your way here on Cougar Radio 92.7 FM.
Traffic, news, and information. Nuga Radio. Digital FM 95.3 HD4 and 92.7 FM.
3, 2, 1.
Chattanooga Radio. Digital FM 95.3 HD4. 92.7 FM's news now.
Road crews have begun work today on Signal Mountain Boulevard to make permanent repairs to an area of U.S. Highway 127 that has shown signs of instability, according to the Tennessee Department of Transportation. During the repairs, the road will be reduced to one lane. Traffic will be controlled with a temporary signal. The project is expected to take 8 weeks, and you can expect traffic delays. A car and a motorcycle collide in Marion County on Highway 27 near Suck Creek Mountain. Reports say one person was killed. Lieutenant John Harmon telling WDEF the victim will be ID'd when the next of kin is notified. And a 15-year-old girl has gone missing in Catoosa County. Cheyenne Hicks has blonde hair, blue eyes, is 5'6", roughly 115 pounds. Anyone with information about the whereabouts of Cheyenne Hicks is asked to call 911 or contact the Catoosa County Sheriff's Office. Val St. John for Nooga Radio, News Talk 92.7, Action News Now.
David Toulis. I made the move 1 o'clock every weekday afternoon, 1 till 3, Nooga Radio.
92.7 Chattanooga weather.
Expect fair skies to continue through your nighttime. Overnight lows back into the upper 60s to near 70. For Friday, morning sunshine, highs of around 90. Can't rule out a spotty late shower or thunder shower. Most of it staying dry. Continue dry for the weekend. Nice highs 88 to 90. Looking for a new career? Georgia Northwestern Technical College is where you need to be, featuring over 200 programs. Get focused. Get hired. Follow admissions deadline July 31st. More at gntc.edu. And I'm Shore D12 Chief Meteorologist Matt Report.
Nooga Radio 92.7.
I got my business up and running, and it's already expanding. I got lucky. Lucky because I found Signal Voice and Data. Signal Voice and Data can incorporate all of my business information sharing and communications seamlessly, keep my costs down, and let me work more productively with endless connectivity no matter where I might be. That's called working smart, not hard. Go to signalvoicetn.com and bring the future of communication to your business today. signalvoicetn.com.
I live, work, and play in Chattanooga, the scenic city. But when it comes to my next car, truck, or SUV, I'm Alabama bound. Fort Payne, Alabama, and Landers McClarty Ford. Big city selection of new and pre-owned vehicles with the small town price and friendly service. Now, I'm not knocking my hometown, but when it comes to my next ride, I only go to Landers McClarty Ford of Fort Payne. Their selection is huge. But if I can't find what I want, they'll find it for me with the same low price, same great service, and only a short drive away. And I can go online to look around before I leave the house. Got that next dream ride in your head yet? Yeah, you do. Get a head start at Landers McClarty Ford of FortPayne.com. Don't just dream it, find it at Landers McClarty Ford of FortPayne.com. That's right, Landers McClarty Ford of Fort Payne, Alabama.
Nooga Radio.
Roar into Talladega.
Hello? Who am I speaking with?
Eric.
You're our winner.
Really?
You'll receive tickets for all 3 races between the Camping World Truck Series, Xfinity Series, and the Monster Energy Cup races.
Holy cow.
In addition, you'll receive a 2-night stay at the Microtel Hotel and restaurant accommodations at 2 area restaurants.
Nooga Radio.
Roar into Talladega.
Nooga Radio
92.7.
Your NASCAR racing station. Nooga Radio 92.7 FM.
Nooga Radio 92.7.
Do you hear that? That, my friend, is not what you're thinking. That is the new 2018 Indian Chieftain Dark Horse. Yeah, Indian. Indian motorcycle is more than a bike. It's an experience, an American icon. And Indian Motorcycle of Chattanooga is the only place you'll find their new 2018 line. Are you ready to ride? Join the club. Go to Indian Motorcycle of Chattanooga. Just look for the sign, 153 and Amnicola. Indian Motorcycle, the true American original.
Call 423-875-3600 if you're looking to expand your professional look of your business. Then consider the vast opportunities that are available when you locate your office with the Rains Group family. Remember, it's location, location, location. And the Rains Group has the location for your professional office. Check out the spaces for lease at Executive Business Park on the Lee Highway. Small or large, we will be able to suit your needs with the Rains Group. Call 423-875-3600 for the business professionals with the Rains Group.
Chattanooga Paint and Decorating would like to remind you it's so hot out there. And guess what? Your deck is taking a beating. It's probably starting to show wear. If you're hosting friends, get your deck entertainment ready with a fresh coat of stain and protect it from heat, sun, and rain with a quality sealant. If you want to get to work, Chattanooga Paint and Decorating want to help you. For exterior paint, stains, sealants, and supplies, stop by Chattanooga Paint and Decorating today on Hicks and Pike across from Valvoline or online at ChattanoogaPaint.com.
Nuga Radio. Are you brain dead? Still voting for pathetic liberals? Take 3 hours of Sean Hannity from 3 to 6.
Nuga Radio.
Then call us in the morning between 9 and 11.
92.7
Nuga Radio. It's the moment you've been waiting for. Sam Jordan's Nuga Radio. 92.7 Sports. Now. Welcome back to the Locker Room Show. I'm Sam Jordan here on Nuga Radio. Hi, Mike. To my left, if you're looking on Facebook Live or on YouTube, I have Mike Congdon. And to my right here, don't want to get it up your nose, is Keon Rose, the host of The Clutch. And tonight, him and his comrade in Russell Stroud be hosting Two Millennials Talking. Always an interesting show to listen to you two. Do you know what you're talking about tonight?
Nope.
Okay. So
nope. We never know. Yeah.
No.
We usually just
fly by the seat of your pants.
Yeah. Show up and figure it out.
Right. But Mike Congdon here in the studio with us. We've been talking about high school football. If you want to call in and just pose a question, comment, or whatever, do so. You can call in at 423-800-8949. That's 423-800-8949. You can also post your questions or comments on Facebook with Nuga Radio 92.7 FM. And be more than glad to talk balls with you. High school football just right around the corner. And college football as well. Nick, you can always get your fill of Tennessee Vols football with Nick LaFew.
Go Big Orange.
With the breakfast. You would, wouldn't you? Jumping in on that. You sure it wouldn't be go Woo Pig Suey?
No.
Oh, okay. At least it's not Roll Tide. But, give us your questions or comments. Talk about high school sports or even college football or even the NFL. Jerry Jones, I don't know if you heard me last night.
Mm-hmm.
He kind of came out with a little bit of a stance in regards to the kneeling thing,
Mm-hmm.
with the national anthem. And the Miami Dolphins owner, and I don't know who he is offhand, used to be Wayne Huizenga, but I don't think that's the same person anymore that owns the Dolphins, basically said, players could be kicked out of several games as far as the Dolphins' policy of not standing for the national anthem. And he basically said, nobody's going to be in the locker room. They're going to be on the field and they better be standing. And, talking about 3-4 game suspension of his own players.
Well, the league penalties are pretty tough as it is.
Yeah, but they kind of put a hold on that.
Oh,
because the NFL Players Association's filed a grievance. So that's not in effect right now.
And Stephen Ross is the Dolphins owner.
Stephen Ross. Sorry. Thank you. Well, you're quick on that.
Yeah.
With one thumb. Okay. But anyway, Jerry Jones chimed in and stated and I'm a little frustrated with him because, the Cowboys are my team in the NFL, and basically said, we're trying to walk gingerly and figure it out without offending anybody. And it's like, who the hell are you trying to BS here? Because this is something, like I said last night, I don't normally get political talking sports because that you need to have that dividing line there. But it's like, if you are born and bred, raised in the United States, you're an American citizen, and if you decide you want to come to America and live here and live in our culture, you need to be off your ass, off your knees, and standing for our Pledge of Allegiance or our national anthem.
And I actually disagree with you on that a lot.
Well, I mean, let's talk about it.
Okay, because
I'm not going to get radical like the program director.
Right, and I don't think we have to. I honestly think that there's a polite way to actually have this conversation, even though all the news networks would have you believe that there isn't. My opinion on it, I have two strong opinions on it. Okay. One, the players who are kneeling during the national anthem, the national anthem is the platform for what their issue is. All of those guys love America. All of those guys love being here. Nobody is anti-America. It's the platform for the real issue that they have wanted to talk about, which is police violence and brutality. That's all it was initially,
right.
And it got blown up and stretched into another thing.
On that.
But as for making players stand, as for making them be patriotic, as it were, you can't make someone be patriotic. Otherwise, that's not patriotism. Patriotism is something you express from the inside. If you make someone stand for the flag, how is that any different from some dictator that makes everyone stand and makes everyone salute him? You can't force it. You can't force it. And I think fans have, if there are fans that are upset with it, I think they have the right to be upset, just like those players have the right to kneel. But if you have to force it, I don't like that. I don't like this idea that we're somehow dictating free speech because, well, we can't upset fans. That doesn't really gel with the same concept of patriotism that you were upset about in the first place with players not standing.
Well, and I get it. I understand, and I see both sides of the issue. I can't pretend to understand their side of it from the police brutality part of it. I can't pretend to understand that because I've never had that experience personally. What I wonder sometimes is how far do you take kneeling or staying in the locker room or whatever it is you're going to do before you do something else?
Right. And I think it's actually a really good question to ask, because I think initially it did get people's attention. I think initially it did spur that conversation, but I actually think it's actually at this point having a negative effect on that conversation. People have forgotten what this is originally all about.
I agree with that 100%.
And I agree with the idea that you probably should consider doing something else because it doesn't seem to be helping what you initially want it to be helping. And it's just stubbornness.
And again,
a little bit.
I've been on this earth for 53 years there. I just said it.
You got me beat.
Yeah. Okay.
I thought you were younger.
Yeah. And I've never seen it. I've read news articles. I've seen the news. That is only an outside view looking in. No news person was ever there specifically. They only cover what happened after the fact.
Right.
So I can't speak to what is actually happening out there. But again, it goes back to, okay, you got our attention. Now, what are we going to do about it? Well, and continuing to kneel is just perpetuating the problem, I think.
You may not remember this because it may not have been happening when you were growing up in Texas or wherever you were living because of your family being in the military and stuff. You will probably remember this because we're within 2 years or a year of each other. We were taught, and I'm not trying to age you or anything, but what I'm saying is when I was growing up in Arkansas, and I'm sure it was no different for you over here in Tennessee, that, every morning before we would start school, back then in the early days until about 72 or so, we were saying a prayer. We also did the Pledge of Allegiance.
Yeah.
And I don't think we had the national anthem played or anything like that, but we were ingrained that every time that the national anthem was played, you stood, and if you were in the military or, service personnel like police, fire, EMS, you saluted, when the national anthem was played. And I think, and this is just my opinion, I think that as time has went along, and I know like with my 6 boys, they didn't have that kind of thing that was taught that, to start the school day.
Well, at least for me growing up starting school, we did have the national, or not the national anthem, but the Pledge of Allegiance every day. We didn't have the prayer, obviously, because
that was outlawed around 72 or so.
But as far as the Pledge of Allegiance, we did have that.
Yeah. And I can remember as my boys, especially with my twins, when they started school, I think it was around 95 or so. They were born in 87. So yeah, that'd be about right. They didn't even have the Pledge of Allegiance anymore because the school did not do that. And it's like our moral compass and our patriotic compass, I think, is just gotten cracked because of the way time has went over the years.
And I think it has a lot to do with the moral compass. I was raised by my parents from a very, very early age, as early as I can remember, that you're no better than anybody else. Right. Nobody's better than you. No, you're no better than anybody else. If you treat everyone the way you want to be treated, which is the golden rule, then you'll get along fine in life. And I've always tried to live by that. I've always tried to, look at people for who they are, and not, any other defining characteristics. Now, it doesn't mean that I won't use adjectives to describe people.
Right.
You're short. I'm taller than you. I'm heavier than you. Yeah. Stand up straight. I'm heavier than you. Keon's an African-American. It's a description.
I would just call him an American.
Well, he is an American.
Yeah.
But the current, I think, PC term is African-American.
Yeah.
Although he was born and raised here. Now,
you were?
I wasn't born here, but I was raised here. I've been here since
That's true. That's true. I remember you telling me that.
Yeah.
Keon and I had lunch a week or two ago.
About a week ago, yeah.
Yeah. And to get to know each other. But I think it is the moral compass.
Right.
I think not enough people are taught to treat everybody the way they want to be treated.
But with the NFL, they have a double standard, I think, because they want to involve the military in all their pregame activities, having the entire field, covered with the United States flag. And then we have literally jackasses that are out there kneeling. And it's like, if you...
I think that doesn't help the conversation when you call those guys jackasses. They're kneeling for something.
That's not the right stage for them to be doing
When
that.
is the right stage if you're going to say, I don't like the way that police treat people who look like me? I don't think there's anything more patriotic than fighting for the betterment of the country, which is what they're doing. I'm not against them. I'm more with Mike, and I am questioning the helpfulness of the method at this stage, but they're not jackasses for kneeling, especially since initially guys were sitting. There was one service member who said, look, sitting is disrespectful. If you kneel, that would be more respectful, because kneeling is a sign of respect. And that's when players started kneeling instead of, because if you're sitting, then it's just like, I don't care. But it's specifically that gesture to say, I do care, but I need to show you something, and I have a platform, and I'm going to use it.
You're 25 years my junior. Okay, I'm 51, going to be 52, and you're in your mid 20s, mid to late 20s. I think it's more of a generational thing where ignorance is not the word that I'm looking for, but and I'm not trying to be detrimental in that respect, but it's like how we were taught coming up through, like Mike and I, back in the 70s and 80s when we were going to school, and you with late 80s and the mid 90s at the latest, I would assume, way the generations are. If you're going to be having an issue with police brutality, and I'm a former state constable in Pennsylvania, and those individuals that decide to go down that path, they're wrong for doing that.
Right. And I'm not trying to even say that it's every officer or anything like that.
No, it isn't. It may be 10, 15% of the police force in the whole country that may be the idiots that are doing this. But for being a pro athlete where you're making $500,000 or better, I don't think that's necessarily the stage to do that.
But
you
here's the
could
thing.
protest in your community.
But Sam, it doesn't work. And here's how I know. I can name a bunch of guys in the league who have gone to do marches. Nobody cares. They don't get covered like they used to get covered, like the March on Washington. They just don't. You have to choose a platform where people are looking. Otherwise, there's no point. And the police issue is an American issue because our tax dollars fund the police departments. That like 15% of doctors are alcoholics and do surgeries while they're drunk. But your tax dollars don't fund doctors. You choose the doctor you want to choose. So like that's not the same. Because there's 10 to 15%, I think, just people who are bad at their job in like every industry. It's particularly dangerous when the 10 to 15% are police. And I think it's at least worth bringing up, but you have to bring it up in a place where people can see it. Otherwise, what are you doing? They go on marches, but no one, you know what I mean? Like no one actually is watching.
I mean, yes, it's a huge platform for them to do that on a national stage like this, but it's not going to happen. Yes, we're having this discussion, you know, even as of right now, and it's probably still going to be talked about with this upcoming NFL season. You know, how come we're not seeing this done with the NBA or the NHL or the Major League Baseball?
The NBA Players Association and the league, they've worked it out. Like they have allowed players to be able to speak and say things during commercial breaks and things like that. What ends up happening in the NFL is that the league is so much stronger than the Players Association. They can just tell the Players Association, shut up.
Right.
And I think the league would actually do better to say, hey, we understand you have a platform. What if we got you guys a 2-minute spot during the game and ran a little ad for you? And in place of that, you guys won't kneel. Because that's what the NBA does.
Right.
The NBA players have gotten to talk, actually use their words to talk about this issue. And so no one kneels.
I mean, I wouldn't have an issue with that, but
I think it's a fantastic idea.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
I haven't seen it because I'm not I will admit, not a huge basketball person until the playoffs come along. But
right. A lot of people aren't.
But if there were a voice attached to the issue and they said, this is why I do this, this is how we need to fix it, or we need to come together to figure out how to fix it, I think that's got to be the next step. Because I agree, the whole nation has gotten the message, I think.
Yeah, especially in the last 2 years.
There is something wrong.
The league needs to go to the Players Association and say, okay, guys, we hear you. What do we have to do so that you don't need to do this anymore? Right? Like we can't change policy. We're not the government.
Right.
But obviously, this is a big deal to you guys. How can we help you express this while at the same time not offending those people who don't feel like this is respectful to the flag? And they can do that, but they haven't done it because the NFL's way of dealing with this kind of thing is just to steamroll the Players Association.
It's atrocious. I mean, to say the least. You know, the NFL, I mean, you basically are drafted, you're owned by those teams. You have to perform up to the various turpitude clauses that's in the contract. I've had several friends that have played in the NFL. Their contracts, I mean, they cover everything.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, all the I's are dotted, T's are crossed. And I mean, you can't sneeze unless you're saying, I love the NFL. Literally, it's almost like that. But why hasn't the NFL gotten the balls to stand up to their employees, their workers, their players?
Because the same reason that any employer doesn't want to push too hard against a union. You don't, because you push too hard against all the players. We've tried this NFL strike thing before, and we're just going to fill the league with scrubs. People don't watch. You want to watch the guys you like. I like Ben Roethlisberger, so I'm going to tune in. If you replace Ben Roethlisberger with some guy, I'm not watching him. So you don't want to push too hard.
It was maybe a college washout or whatever.
Yeah,
right.
And
Josh Dobbs from here in the area might get his chance to fill in for Roethlisberger
if he crosses the line.
If he crosses the line,
but he might not because they're a union. So you know, you just have to go. Like if I just watched football just to watch football, I'd watch the CFL. I'd watch Australian rules football. I don't. Right? The NFL has the best guys.
Right.
The NFL doesn't want to push too hard because if you replace those guys with just a bunch of dudes, no one's watching the NFL.
All right, let me ask you
and
this.
It's a business.
It definitely is. Let me ask you this to the two of you. You know, with the XFL coming back and this other league that they're putting together that's going to get together in 2020, do you feel like that with the backlash that we're seeing right now from the NFL, do you think that's going to help those other two leagues?
Not unless they can get better players.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I mean, the XFL was fun as a novelty when it was first done, but I agree. And unless the caliber of the competition is as good, I don't see that ever.
Okay. Because I mean, there is a lot of sentiment out there about not watching it. And
well, there is, but you got to remember, kids from 5 years old are watching
right
on Sundays.
They're heroes. Yeah.
They're heroes.
Right.
And
I think the people who say they're not watching, I think that's more of a vocal minority than like, because the people who watch the NFL, because I also know people on the other side of the issue, people who are like, if players are going to be suspended and things like that, you know, I mean, they called it a blackout. We're not going to watch the NFL. And I know a lot of those people who still did watch the NFL.
I really didn't watch the NFL until about 2/3 of the season because I'm ramping up for the playoffs, and you know, I'm looking to see if Dallas is going to make something of them, you know, or the Falcons or the Steelers or Eagles. And of course, the Eagles went on to win the Super Bowl. But it's just for the most part, I tried to abstain because, you know, as a political view and stance, you know, they really need to get their heads out of their rear ends.
I think the league needs to talk to the players. And because I feel like some of the league treats those guys like the way you feel like, where it's like they're just a bunch of jackasses. And it's like, no, talk to those guys like they're humans and give them a voice so they can stop using their knees and they can start using their mouths.
At least we got purity in high school football.
It's the purest form of the game.
That is right. Hey, thanks for listening in, joining in. We appreciate everybody's checked in on Facebook Live and on YouTube. We've got two millennials talking coming up with this guy right here, Keon Rose and Russell Stroud, coming up after the news. Talk to you again next time. Have a good night.